Hey, I'm Geeky Pastimes, and this is a guide for players who want to get into zombies. So for people who are complete beginners to zombies, people who have maybe played other modes in Call of Duty, maybe you like playing Warzone, you like playing multiplayer, and you've looked at zombies and thought, no, that looks too intimidating, that looks like a bit too weird for me. I've had a lot of fun in zombies, and I think while there is a bit of a learning curve, there is a lot of stuff to learn, it's more accessible than it's ever been. So the idea behind this guide is it's probably going to take a while, but I'm going to talk you through all of the basics, all the things you need to know, all the sort of terms that are used sort of within the game, some of the sort of basic strategies you need to survive a little bit longer, and hopefully if you take on board everything in this guide, you should be able to get to the point where you can start doing Easter eggs by yourself, or you can start going for higher rounds and things like that. So I play zombies pretty casually, really, like all the way through Call of Duty history. Like I've been playing Call of Duty since the very first Call of Duty, and since zombies started being added in World at War, I used to have a go at the maps with a couple of friends. You know, every time they added a new zombies map, I'd probably buy the DLC for the multiplayer stuff, really. And then me and a couple of friends would probably have a go at each zombies map, just 1 or 2 rounds, have a look around, have an explore, see what we can do, and then move on and kind of forget about it. And the reason for that was I felt like zombies was just too intimidating. Like there was so much stuff that you needed guides to do, that you needed to watch YouTube guides to work out how to do the Easter eggs, or you needed 4 people, or it took hours and hours and hours, and I couldn't always find a group of 4 people who wanted to spend hours on zombies trying to get something done, when there's always a risk that you're just going to die at the boss or something like that. In the summer of 2020, Greg FPS and a few other people like Sky helped quite a lot, and Chaos Basilisk, they helped me to go through loads of the Treyarch Easter eggs, so all of the ones from Zombies Chronicles, all the ones from Black Ops 3 and 4, and we played through all of those Easter eggs, and I was basically carried through them. So I got to see them, but I didn't really get to do that much. Then when Black Ops Cold War came out, Noah J456 asked me to be a part of his squad to do the first zombies map, D Machine, and me and him and Codename Pizza and Starburst, we got world's first on there. So I went from being someone who hadn't really ever played zombies properly ever before, to being someone who got one of the world's first on one of the maps, within the space of a couple of months. Like it was quite a sort of brief time, and I wasn't playing loads of zombies throughout that, really. I was just sort of trying to pay attention when people carried me through the Easter eggs. Now I think the reason for that is there's a new type of zombies in Black Ops Cold War. This is a new kind of form for the zombies mode. There's lots of things that are very familiar for people who have been playing it for ages, but it's way more accessible than it's ever been. Like the systems are much more forgiving. There's a lot more opportunity for you to make mistakes, but still survive and still keep on going. The Easter eggs are so much simpler, to the point where you don't really need YouTube guides to help you solve the Easter eggs. I'm pretty sure anybody, like even by yourself, but especially with a group, you would be able to work out the steps by yourself. You know, it'd take a little bit longer than if you did it with a guide, but I'm sure it'd be a lot more fun. And I think that's a really good thing. I think it's an opportunity for loads of people to get into zombies who weren't in it before. And I think it's a chance for people to kind of be able to explore and be able to experiment within it, which is really awesome. Because personally, I don't think it's a great thing to have to rely on, like, you know, 2 or 3 days of the best zombies players in the world hunting for an Easter egg, and then they make a really complicated YouTube guide that you have to sit and follow and like keep on pausing or keep holding a zombie while people are checking you up on steps of the guide, and then just following what someone else does. Like, that's not a fun way to play any game. Like, no one wants to be playing games just following a walkthrough all the time. So this is something where you can do yourself, but you need to get those basics right first. Now, to make it clear, this guide isn't really going to delve into the Easter eggs at all. I do have guides on my YouTube channel if you want to check them out for the main Easter eggs and some of the side Easter eggs. It's not about how to find like the intel and the secrets and things like that. If you want to do that, go check out Greg FPS. He's the guy that took me through all the other Easter eggs. He's got loads of guides up on how to find all of the intel and things like that in these maps, and loads of other videos about it. And this isn't going to talk loads about the different weapons and the differences between the weapons. If you want to check out stuff like that, go look at Smart Guy's YouTube channel and his various resources. He's done loads of research and made really, really good video about how the different weapons work in zombies and which ones are the best ones to use and why. So if you want to check that out, go check out Smart Guy, and I'll put links to their channels in the descriptions below. Instead, this is just about how do you play zombies. So if you're already super into zombies, this video probably isn't for you. This is much more for people who want to get started in it. If you do find this useful, please don't forget to like and subscribe. So first of all, starting from the very base, like I said, One of the questions I've had a few times is Zombies free to play? No, it's not. You do have to buy Black Ops Cold War. Zombies is a part of Black Ops Cold War. It's not a part of Warzone or anything like that. So you have to buy the game to be able to play it. You can buy it and you don't have to install the campaign and multiplayer and stuff like that. You can just have Zombies installed if you want. But it is a part of Black Ops Cold War, and within it there's actually 3 different major Zombies modes at the moment. There's the sort of classic Zombies, which is what this guy's going to talk about. There's Dead Ops Arcade, which is this like top down, or you can play it first person now, arcade style game. And then there's Outbreak, which is a newer mode, which is kind of more open world, and has a few different systems compared to normal Zombies. A lot of what I'm going to say in this will apply to Outbreak, but none of it will apply to Dead Ops Arcade really at all. So if you want to go check out those, you probably want to go find a different guide. But we're going to talk about the main Zombies mode, which is currently on 2 maps. So as of the time making this video, there's D Machine and Firebase Z, or Firebase Z, depending on where you grew up. That's what this guide's really going to be about. Hopefully, I'm going to try and stop myself from saying too much that's map specific. So hopefully when new maps come out, this will still all apply to it, okay? Another thing is, this doesn't apply to the other games in the Zombie series. Like, all of the games in the Zombie series have kind of slightly different mechanics and things like that. So this is really just for Black Ops Cold War Zombies. Now, to get the most out of Zombies in Black Ops Cold War, one really good thing about this version of the game is you do not need a full team. You can do it by yourself, you can play with 2 players, 3 players, 4 players, and it's just as much fun. The game kind of works in a scaling system where if there's more players, there'll be more zombies. So in some ways, if you've got teammates who aren't that helpful, it can actually be a bit harder with more players. If you're playing by yourself, you don't get many zombies in each round, but you can do everything. You can get to high rounds, you can do all the Easter eggs, everything like that, just by yourself if you want. So you don't need to worry about whether you've got a team or not to do any of these things. Some of the steps, like some of the strategies and things like that, are a little bit easier if you've got 2 people, because one person can hold a zombie while the other person tries to interact with stuff and do stuff. But to be honest, it's not that difficult by itself. It doesn't make a huge amount of difference. Also, another thing that's really important, I get asked a lot, is about whether you need to have played the other Zombies maps to enjoy this. I really don't think you do. The other Zombies games are quite different from this. The Zombies modes in the previous Call of Duty games, they're all more forgiving, they're all more difficult, especially for solo players. Normally you can take a lot less hits before you die, or they have things where like the Easter eggs go on, they take a really long time, and there's lots of places where it can go really wrong, and they're often very obscure. The mechanics are very different in all of them. While you can have a lot of fun with them, some cool maps or some cool things to do in that, I wouldn't worry about trying to play the others or trying to play through Zombies Chronicles or something like that before you play Black Ops Cold War. You can just go straight in. There are a few things with the story, with one character in particular, where it's like a big callback to the previous games, and so you'll be missing out a tiny bit on that. But what I'd recommend is actually just to watch YouTube videos that explain the story. There's plenty out there where people have tried to explain the whole story of Zombies so far. Because if you play the old maps, like I did, went through, did all the Easter eggs, the maps don't actually explain the story very well. What's happened is, over time, fans of Zombies mode have like pieced together the story from all the little clues and all the bits of information that are spread out across different maps and Easter eggs and like environmental hints and like voice lines and things like that. If you just played through the games, it'd be really hard for you to by yourself piece together the whole story. So it's a much more effective way to get a grip of what's going on in the story is just to watch videos. I will warn you, it's super complicated, super confusing, and personally I don't think it's massively worth it. It's fun to find out who the characters are, but trying to keep track of exactly why everything happens, it just gets super bizarre. There's a lot of bizarre, magic basically going on in it that's I don't think's explained very well. So we'll start off with a section on basic ideas, the most basic things about Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War Zombies. So before you start a game, you can equip a loadout. And that's something that's quite new to Zombies. So you can equip a loadout, and what you can do is you can choose one gun, one weapon, and a field upgrade. Now, the weapon that you pick will be the most basic form of that weapon in the game, as in terms of power, it'll be the weakest version of that gun. But you can choose all the attachments you want. So any attachments that you've unlocked in Warzone or in multiplayer, you can use those attachments in Zombies. It is worth noting that some of the attachments behave a little bit differently in this. So things like torches and things like that, in zombies, they give you enhanced drop rate for equipment and things like that, and I'll talk a bit more about that later, and salvage. So it's worth paying attention to those. I think all of those things that say like they give you an enhanced drop rate are worth taking, and things that, you know, increase damage are normally worth taking as well. They're all pretty good. Like I said, Smart Guy's got some really good videos on like which attachments are best for all of those things. The field upgrades are like special powers that you get, and they work on a cooldown system, so you can activate them in game, and then you have to kill a certain number of zombies before you'll be able to use it again. They all have different cooldowns and things like that. They take a different amount of time for it to work again. You can upgrade these powers over time, like in between games, so we'll talk about that. So if you watch like zombie streamers, you might see that their field upgrades do things that yours don't, and same with perks actually. You will be able to upgrade them over time. They get better and better. But I would say if you're not sure which one to take, Aether Shroud is a really, really good one. Aether Shroud basically lets you go invisible for a few seconds. And it's really useful, like if you're getting overwhelmed, like there's loads of zombies around you trapping you in, you can activate that, then just kill a couple and get out of there. Or once you've upgraded it actually teleports you anyway, so you can just get out straight away. Or if you're playing with a friend, you can use it to make yourself invisible, then go resurrect them, go revive them. So Aether Shroud is a pretty good one to use, but all of them are useful. Like none of them are absolutely terrible or anything like that. Similarly with the weapon, like lots of the weapons are very viable in it. I've ended up trying to get the camos for all of them, so I've used all of them so far in zombies. I would say probably using the Hauer shotgun is your best bet. It's insanely powerful early on, and then it scales really well as it goes through. So by the end of it, it's one of the most powerful weapons. And it's super good. Put the attachments on like the last barrel and things like that, and you'll end up doing so much damage, even the sort of special zombies won't be able to get in your way. So the Hauer and Aether Shroud, pretty good bet for your loadout. But obviously it's a lot of fun to experiment, and you can't go too far wrong. I personally hated using sniper rifles, but beyond that, everything else is pretty usable. It's pretty fun. When you choose to start a game, you'll be able to choose a map, so you'll be able to choose Firebase Z, or you'll be able to choose D-Machine, and then you'll be able to choose from 3 different modes, and those are sort of public, which is the default, so if you just choose a thing that says Firebase Z, that's what it'll put you in. Or you can choose solo or private. Solo obviously puts you in by yourself. Public will match you up against other people. Personally, I don't think that's a great experience in zombies, being matched up against randoms, because people play zombies to do different things. Like some people want to do the Easter egg, some people want to do high rounds, different things like that. And generally with public games, people won't be communicating, and you might all want to do different things, and people will quit when they get frustrated. They might not help you out. They might not share the essence that they have, the money that you use in it. So I don't think public games are the way to go personally. If you put it on private and you're in a party, it just won't fill in the gaps in your party. It's worth noting that if you're solo, so if you either go into a solo game or you go into a private game by yourself, the game will actually give you a self-revive from the beginning for free, and that's to make up for the fact that obviously in multiplayer, your teammates can come and revive you, but you don't have that in solo. So instead you get 1 free self-revive to kind of give you a chance to get back up if you go down. When you load into the game, you'll notice a few different things on the screen, so we'll try and just talk you through some of the important things to know. The most important one, I don't think the game ever really explains very well, is in the top right, you'll have the round number. It starts off as just like almost like a Roman numeral. Then once it gets to bigger numbers, it starts just saying it in normal numbers. This round number is basically the sort of level that you're on. And each round, there'll be a set number of zombies that will spawn. Every time you kill all of the zombies, the round will end. It plays a little bit of music. You'll have a little pause where no zombies spawn for a few seconds, and then it'll go up to the next round, and then more zombies will come in. Each round you go in will have more zombies, and the zombies will be a little bit stronger. They'll have more health, and that carries on going until about round 43. Once you get past round 43, the zombies don't get any stronger. They don't get any more health. But by the time you're up there, it's actually, it's really challenging. There's a lot of zombies. The rounds will take a very long time, and the zombies will have a lot of health. So it gets quite challenging by then. There are some special rounds. So sometimes, and it changes which round it's on, there'll be some rounds where it's like a dog round on D-Machine, where everything will go green. There'll be like a green haze, and that means the only enemies that will spawn will be dogs, and then you can kill all of them and it'll go on as normal. In Firebase Z, there's like invasion rounds where you'll have to go protect one of the places where lots of portals spawn, and then you have to protect one of the generators from lots of zombies and even this giant monster thing. It's very cool, but then once you've gone past that, it just goes on to a normal round. So the rounds are quite important because every time you push it on, you are actually pushing the rounds on by killing zombies. So you have a bit of control over it, and you're making the game harder for yourself by continuing on through the rounds. Sometimes, and we'll talk about this a bit more later, sometimes you don't actually want to make a round go on. You want to keep the rounds as low as possible. Whereas some people obviously play the game to get the rounds as high as they possibly can. Now, down in the bottom left, you're going to have a larger number that will go up really quickly as you kill zombies. And this is what we call essence, or sometimes people just call it like money or points. This is the main currency used in zombies, and you use this for loads of stuff. So use it to open doors, use it to buy perks, use it to buy weapons, things like that. You get more essence per zombie if you do a critical hit, so you shoot them in it's normally their head, or if you melee them. So you get quite a lot more if you do that. If you just shoot them in the body or shoot them in the legs or limbs or something like that, then you'll get less. And that means it's normally better, especially in the early rounds, to really focus on just using melee, because your knife's actually pretty strong and you can make it stronger through upgrades. Or to try and make sure you're shooting zombies in the head, because the more points you have, the more essence you have, the easier things get, like the more upgrades and stuff you can buy during the game. Now, you'll find the zombies, when you start killing them, they'll start dropping items, and there's loads of different things they can drop. So they can drop like tactical grenades, stun grenades, stuff like that. They can drop lethals, so like normal grenades, C4, throwing axes, things like that. And they can also drop two types of what's called salvage, and it just looks like a lump of scrap, essentially. There's green ones that does just look like a lump of scrap, and it's called uncommon. That's the more common one, and every time you pick one up, you'll get 50 added to your score. You can see this by looking at your score menu. On the Xbox controller, it's like the options button, the select button. I think on a PlayStation, you press the touchpad to see it. And maybe on a PC, it's tab. And anyway, you'll see that there, it's like at the bottom, when you highlight over a player, you'll be able to see how much of each one they've got. And then you also get the blue salvage, which looks like sort of a box of stuff. And that's called high-end salvage. Blue's a lot rarer, and every time you pick up a set of it, you only get 5, so you don't get anywhere near as much. You need all of that currency, this salvage, to upgrade your weapons and your armor, and you can also use it to buy things like score streaks and to buy tacticals and things like that. It's really, really important, and you generally want to kind of save it up to get stuff like the weapon and armor upgrades. Those are probably the most important ones. Early on in the game, you won't have very much of it at all. You'll be really limited. But as the levels go on, as the rounds go on, you'll get more and more of it, to the point where like it's irrelevant. Like you end up with so much it doesn't matter. It's a good idea to kind of know what you're saving up for, because while you want to save up to get those things, you also don't want to end up hoarding it past the point where you need it, because all of this stuff, like the essence and the salvage, it doesn't carry on between games. So you want to spend it. Like there's no point saving it. So I normally upgrade my weapon first. So I know that I'm going to need, to gather a load of the green scrap so I can get through the first few levels of weapon upgrades. And then I'll need the blue scrap to get the blue salvage to get to the next ones. The other currency you'll find is Aetherium Crystals. Now this you don't actually get in game. Instead you get it at the end of games. It pops up telling you that you've got an extra one on milestone rounds. So ever since, I think it's round 10, once you've completed round 10, you'll get some. And then after that, it's every 5 rounds you'll get some. There's 3 types of these. There's Aetherium Crystals, there's Refined Crystals, and Flawless Crystals. And these are the things that you use to upgrade your characters, like skills, ammo types, weapon types, perks, field upgrades, all stuff like that. And you do that in the menus outside of the game. So those are sort of permanent upgrades that you get, which are really, really useful. So when you first start playing zombies, you'll probably want to play quite a lot to get a lot of Aetherium Crystals so you can upgrade your character. At the moment, Outbreak is probably the best way to do it. You can get stuff a lot quicker, but you can get it from zombies as well. Like, it's up to you. Just by playing, you will get some of those. You don't have to worry about it. And then when you're thinking about what to spend it on, personally, I'd spend it on perks, because you tend to use the perks in like every game. And then whatever weapon type you like using. So if you're using the Hauer shotgun, upgrade shotguns. If you're using Aether Shroud all the time, get the upgrades for Aether Shroud. It does take a while to get all of the Aetherium Crystals, so it's worth kind of prioritizing the things that you're actually going to use to upgrade them. When you're upgrading stuff, you can use the normal Aetherium Crystals to upgrade everything up to level 3, and then you use the refined ones to get it up to level 4, and then use the flawless ones to get it up to level 5. And obviously the flawless ones are harder to get. Back going into zombies games, what you'll also find sort of from the area that you're in is that some of the doors are sealed. Now, there's 2 different types of sealed doors. There's ones that are sealed by power, and it'll say something like you must turn the power on first to get through them. That one, they will just open up as you're playing through once you turn the power switch on. And then some of them will say a certain amount of essence is required. Now, the ones near spawn are normally very cheap, you know, they'll be like 500 or something. Then as you get further into the map, they'll get more and more expensive. These always cost the same amount. So after you've played it a few times, you get a sense of wherever it is you want to go, you have an idea of how much it's going to cost to get there. So you can kind of save up until you've got enough to get the whole way. That's pretty normal. Now, in the bottom left, you'll have your health bar, obviously, which you'll be used to from anything that you've played in Call of Duty. Just like every other mode in Call of Duty, it recharges if you haven't been hit for a while. It recharges pretty quick, to be honest, but there are ways you can make it go a bit faster. You know, you can use stim shots or field upgrades, or one of the perks will do that. If it drops to 0, you go down. So you don't die straight away, instead you go down. If you've got a teammate, they can come revive you. If you've got a self-revive kit, you can use that to self-revive yourself. If you don't have any of those things, so none of your teammates are up and you don't have self-revive kit, then it will just be the end of the game, and then that'll be it. You'll be shown the scoreboard and you'll be dead. Which is, you know, very sad. You get used to it in zombies that you will die from stupid things sometimes. Like everyone does, you know, even if you watch the best streamers who are the best zombies players, they sometimes just get stuck, just get in an awkward situation, get hit lots of times at once is often a thing that happens where, you know, it happens that 4 zombies are around you and they all hit you at once. It's very easy to die, so try not to get too frustrated when you die. It's just, you know, it's almost like a roguelike that you just load it up, have another go at it. If you pick up or buy armor, that'll go above your health bar. So sometimes when you're playing, you'll see there's like a blue armor vest, like a Kevlar vest on the ground. If you pick up one of them when you don't have any armor, it will give you your first bar of armor. And your armor works so it sort of absorbs some of the damage that you'd normally take instead of your health, but it doesn't recharge, so it will just keep on going down. You can find armor plates that look like the ones from Warzone. If you find those, it will give you a little bit of armor back. If you find another armor vest, it will fill it up all the way. You can get upgrades, which we'll talk about in a bit, which actually give you 2 or 3 armor bars. And then if you get one of those vests, it will always fill it all the way up. Even if you've got 3 bars and it's like completely empty, you'll fill up all 3 bars again, which is really, really useful. There's also a field upgrade that lets you do that as well. So the armor is super useful. You don't have to find armor to get it first. You can just buy it, but that's one of the that's like one of the main things. I think lots of people sort of disagree about armor, about how useful it is, because in the higher rounds you end up losing your armor all the time, just because so much stuff can be hitting you all the time. But lower down the rounds, I think it's super helpful, and especially when you're starting out, it's a nice kind of safety net, really. Your first sort of goal on any zombies map, really, because it lets you do so much other stuff, is to turn the power on. And in Black Ops Cold War, it is really, really nice about telling you how to do that. It's never a mystery. It's not something you've got to work out. Instead, there will be objective markers showing you where to go. There'll normally be like purple arrows on the map that tell you which direction to go. So you just follow them, and, you know, on D-Machine, it just means going all the way through the facility, and then in the last room you press a button that turns the power on. In Firebase Z, it's a bit more involved. There's 3 generators you have to go to, so you go through the portal from the first area, then you go through these 3 generators in the corners of the map, you activate them, and then you have to protect them for a while, killing zombies near them until they charge up. They call that a soul box. You know, the sort of zombies community call those soul boxes, because you kill zombies and you sort of see their souls get sucked into them, and eventually once that's filled up, once it's completely charged up, that area will have power. And on Firebase Z, you want to power all 3 of those up. So that's really, really important to get those done. Once you've done that, like, the power will turn on other things that you can use. Like, there's these stations that have kind of a mannequin in them. You see there's like a mannequin standing up with like little things zapping him and stuff like that. That is a it's called the Arsenal, but it's just, you know, an armor station, most people call it. And that's a place where you can go and spend some of your salvage to get armor, to sort of actually get the chunks of armor up to 3 of them, or to upgrade your gun rarity. So your gun rarity will start off at red, the one you brought with you, and then you can upgrade it through green, blue, orange, and then then purple, then orange. And that actually increases the damage it does by quite a lot. It's really worth doing, and it gets very, very expensive. Like, it gets to the point where you need 1,000 of the blue salvage, which takes a long time to get, because bear in mind, you only get 5 for each one, so that's 200 pickups you need to do to get it. But it's worth doing because it's insanely powerful. So yeah, once you turn the power on, that'll go on, and then other things will open up. So like all of the doors which needed power, they will all open. Perk machines that were being powered, that needed power, they will all turn on. And then some other things like the Pack-a-Punch machine will also turn on. So the last part of these beginning quests will help you create the Pack-a-Punch machine. On D machine, you have to go through a portal that's where you flick these 2 switches in the Path Accelerator room. That'll create a portal. You go through it. The game tells you how to do all of this. Then it will show you where to get to another tunnel. You go down a tunnel, pick up the Pack-a-Punch machine part, carry that back to where you went through the portal in the first place, and you'll be able to put it there and make the Pack-a-Punch machine. In Firebase Ed, it's really easy. It's just you go back to where you kind of started after you've turned the power on, and the Pack-a-Punch machine will just appear. Pack-a-Punch machine is really, really important for going past the sort of lower rounds, because every time you use it, it effectively doubles the power of your gun. I don't think it's exactly doubling it for some guns, but it's roughly doubling it. And you can Pack-a-Punch something 3 times, but it is incredibly expensive. So the first time you do it, it will cost you 5,000 essence. The second time you do it, it will cost you 15,000 essence. And last time you do it, it will cost you 30,000 essence. So that's a lot of essence. But obviously, you're doubling it each time. So by the time you've done it the 3rd time, you've actually got a gun that's 8 times more powerful than the one you started with. And then you can combine that with the upgrades, the rarity upgrades. So if you have an orange gun that's Pack-a-Punch level 3, it's incredibly powerful. I think it's something like 32 times more powerful or 36 times more powerful than the gun that you started out with. So it's a big deal. It's really, really important. The other function of that Pack-a-Punch machine is that it will let you add an ammo type to your gun. So if you press like RB or R1, the shoulder buttons on the Pack-a-Punch machine, it'll take you to an ammo type menu, and you can add sort of an elemental effect to your gun. All of them are pretty cool. Like, all of them have different effects. They do things like freeze zombies, set them on fire, make them fight for you, the brain rot one, which is quite cool. I really like using dead wire because it's an electric one. It stuns zombies that get hit with it. It chains to other zombies. Once you've upgraded it, it chains to quite a lot. And then it also helps you to do extra damage against some of the special and boss zombies. So that's really, really useful. Like, that's incredibly powerful. Especially if you're using the Howler and you've upgraded it and then you've put the dead wire thing on, you'll be able to kill the boss zombie so quickly. It's really, really powerful. So in terms of weapons, you can carry 2 weapons in zombies. So you start with 1, but you can carry 2. And the way to get the other one, you can pick them up off wall buys. So on each map, there's a set of guns, sort of like chalk outlines of guns on the wall. You can go up to them and it'll tell you how much essence they each cost. The guns are always in the same position. So you can, once you find one that you like, you can always go back to it. But what will randomize is how good those guns are. So sometimes, the guns might be green, sometimes they'll be blue, things like that. And what attachments they have will be random too. So you don't actually know what sort of setup on a gun you're going to get. You could see an assault rifle you really like, but you go get it and it's got a thermal scope on it or something weird like that. It is, an effective way of doing it because it's quite a cheap way of getting a gun that's got a higher rarity, especially if you get one that's, purple or orange or something like that. That's really powerful. But most people I know don't tend to use them all that much just because your starting gun, you get the attachments you want. The other big way of doing it is to go get mystery box. So the mystery box is a long wooden box and there's a big beam of light shooting up from it. It's got question marks on it. You go up to that and you use 950 essence and it will give you a random gun. It can also give you score streaks. They can come out of it too. Now, the gun that you get will be completely random, so it'll be a random gun, it'll be random rarity, random attachments, everything. As the game goes on and you get onto higher rounds, you get a better chance to get a really powerful gun, so you can get a much more powerful version of the same guns. Sometimes when you're rolling it after you've done a few of them, a toy rabbit will appear and it'll be like a child's laugh. That means the mystery box is going to teleport, so it will fly up into the air and then it'll appear somewhere else on the map, and then just function exactly the same as it did before. When you see it go like that, just look for the beam of light in the air and that'll give you an idea of where it is. On D machine, it's a bit annoying because sometimes it's below ground, but the beam of light is still above ground. But if you sort of see the beam of light and it seems to be cutting through the ground, that's just because it's underground somewhere in the facility. On Firebase Ed, it's much easier to find out where it is. So the mystery box is like very, very useful. 950 essence isn't that bad when you consider how powerful some of the weapons you can get towards the end are. But bear in mind, any weapons you get out of there won't be pack-a-punched or anything like that. So you're going to have to get the gun and then go pack-a-punch it. If you swap your gun out that is pack-a-punched, the new one won't be. Like, it sticks to the gun. Zombies will sometimes drop power-ups as well. So sometimes when you're killing zombies, you will see power-ups drop out, and you'll see this quite early on. I think by round sort of 7, you probably would have seen most of the power-ups, most of the normal power-ups. One of each one would have dropped. They are sort of random. I think some people can work out what order they're going to drop in, but for all intents and purposes, when you're playing, it will seem pretty random. So these are the power-ups that you can get, and I wanted to talk through all of these because I don't think some of them are that obvious what they do or how they work. So max ammo is just a box of ammo. It's a big gold box of ammo floating. This will fill up your ammo, and it fills up the ammo in the clip of both of your weapons. So if you've got, you desperately need to reload and you've got a big old LMG that takes forever to reload, if you go over a max ammo, you will instantly be reloaded already, which is really, really useful. Like a really good thing to know. If you see one, you can shoot nearly all of your magazine, then run over it and then carry on shooting, which is really good. You always get one of those at the end of a special round. So like the dog rounds I talked about earlier, you will always get a max ammo at the end of that, which is really helpful to remember. Double points is like a 2x sign. That will double the number of the essence you get, the points you get for a short time. It stacks with other things, which is super useful. You can actually do like a little trick, which I'll show you on a video here, where if you lie down in front of a perk machine, so you go prone in front of a perk machine, one player, one time on each game can do it for 100 points. If you've got double points, it gives you 200 points. Similarly, if you like complete objectives that would normally give you essence, you get twice as much if double points is going. One thing that's really important to know about that is don't pick it up just before the end of a round. Wait until you're at the beginning of a round and you've got lots of zombies nearby before you pick it up. Otherwise, you'll waste it. Otherwise it'll run out when there's no zombies for you to kill. If there's a bonus point sign, this kind of looks like a Z with 2 lines through it, almost like a dollar sign, but with a Z instead. That is just a really simple one. It gives everyone on team 500 points. If you do have a double points active and then you find one of these, it does give everyone 1,000 points instead, which is pretty good. But yeah, so it gives everyone 500 points immediately. So you can always just pick that up whenever, really. Insta-kill is a big gold skull, and that makes all the normal zombies one-hit kills, no matter what gun you're using. That's crazy helpful, especially if you're using any kind of machine gun. If you're using any fully automatic gun, you can just plow through a horde really quickly. Also, you can melee zombies if you're running low on ammo. Any special or boss zombies, they won't be one-hit kill, but they will take a lot more damage. So it's like your weapons are really powerful against them. So it makes it a lot easier to kill them. The nuke is a big nuclear bomb, and this will kill all of the zombies on the map. Generally, people don't like you picking these up because what it does is it kills all the zombies on the map, but then gives you 400 essence and no essence for how many zombies you killed. So, if you're thinking if you're doing headshots, you can get 115 essence from each zombie. That means if the nuke kills 4 zombies, you've effectively lost some essence. So what you normally want to do is wait until the end of a round to pick up a nuke. So wait until it's about to run out and then pick one up. Obviously, if someone's downed or something like that, then it's a good idea to pick one up because it kills them all. It takes a while for them to respawn. So it's a good way of giving yourself a bit of breathing room, but just be aware that it will be costing you quite a lot of essence. The fire sale is something that only seems to appear after you've used a mystery box. I think maybe after the mystery box is teleported away. That looks like a sort of price tag, and that will make it so the mystery box will appear at every location it can possibly appear at, and you'll be able to see all of the possibilities because there'll be a sort of a toy rabbit sitting there. And it will only cost 10 essence. So essentially you can just keep on using the mystery box again and again and again and again, trying to get something really good because it's so unbelievably cheap. There's also a couple of different ones that only appear in certain situations. There's one that looks like 2 swords. That will just refill up your meter, your field upgrade meter, which is kind of useful. And then there's another one that looks like a big perk. I've only seen it in Outbreak so far, but it looks like a big perk can. If you get that, it'll give everyone on your team a free perk, which is useful. It's pretty cool. So other things that you can find on the map, there are ammo stations that look like big sort of grey boxes. They are used to fill up your ammo, obviously. The price goes up depending on how powerful your gun is, depending on how many times you've pack-a-punched your gun. So at the beginning, it's only like 250 essence, which isn't too bad. But then by the end, it ends up costing thousands. So it ends up being quite an expensive way to do it. And, sod's law, every time you spend loads of money to fill up your ammo, of course a max ammo will spawn at some point in the next few seconds. It's just the way it always seems to go. So I don't tend to use them very much until until we start getting to the very later rounds where you end up running out of ammo all the time, and essence doesn't really matter by then. In lower rounds, I'd generally try to avoid them. It's better to use melee, to be honest. And then the final sort of really important machines that you'll be using a lot of the time are the perk machines. So I'm sure you would have seen these before. There's perk machines that are like sort of fizzy drink machines, kind of. They're all very distinctive. They actually play music sometimes. They have their own sort of set colors, and each of those will give you a perk. The first one that you buy on a map will cost 2,500 essence, and then the next one will be 3,000, next one will be 3,500, and it goes up like that, 500 each time. As of the time recording this video, there's 7 perks, so it obviously gets very expensive by the time you get the last one. There's also a special machine called the Wonder Fizz, which is on the roof of the machine, or it's next to the Pack-a-Punch machine in Firebase Z. That's a machine where you can just get all of the perks rather than having to go around the individual machines. It doesn't cost anymore. It's just exactly the same, so it's just a better, easier way of getting the perks, to be honest. If I just talk through what the perks do, because I don't think they're entirely obvious, bear in mind the perks can be upgraded, so the perks actually get some extra abilities after you've upgraded them with Aetherium Crystals. But I'll talk you through the basics. So Juggernaut's the sort of main one. Juggernaut's the one that lots of people recommend you get very early on, and it just gives you extra health. So it gives you a bunch of extra health, and that means that you're much less likely to die, because bear in mind your health recharges all the way in roughly the same time anyway, so it makes it way harder for you to die. Really, really helpful all the time. There's Speed Cola, which just makes your guns reload faster, really, which obviously is really useful when you're fighting lots of zombies. Reload speed's always a nice thing. Stamina Up is another one that lots of people like getting quite early. It lets you run faster all the time, lets you sprint all the time. Lots of people like it, especially if you're using quite a heavy gun like an LMG or something like that. It sort of means that you can move backwards really quickly, which is useful if you're firing at a crowd of zombies. Quick Revive is one that has sort of 2 main effects. One is that it lets you quick revive, lets you revive people much quicker. But the other one is it makes your health regenerate quicker. And again, coupled with Juggernaut, that makes you last a lot longer. It like gives you a real safety net, where you only have to stop taking damage for a very short amount of time, and then your health will come back, which is really, really good. Deadshot Daiquiri is one that I think's maybe a little bit undervalued by some people. I spent ages going for camos, and what it does is it controls the auto aim, so it locks onto their heads rather than their bodies. Now, if you're on PC, obviously it doesn't matter because you're not using auto aim, but what it will also do is make it so if you shoot a zombie in the head when it's undamaged, so the first shot goes into its head, it will do a lot of extra damage, and that means that when you're fighting a crowd, if you're shooting their heads all the time, you kill them really, really easily. So it's really it can be quite powerful. And if you're trying to do the camo challenges where you need to get lots of headshots, lots of critical hit kills, it's super useful. Really, really useful one. Elemental Pop is a new one of Black Ops Cold War. Elemental Pop makes it so some of your bullets will randomly trigger one of the elemental effects like the ammo type ones. So, it might be it'll randomly electrocute zombies, or randomly turn one onto your side, or set one on fire, or something like that, which is really useful. Then there's Tombstone, which is the new one that came with Firebase Z. That one is one that I think a lot of people are a little bit less enthusiastic about. Basically, it makes it so when you go down, you can choose to sort of spawn as a ghost. And then as a ghost, you can kill zombies and revive yourself by filling up a meter. Or you can run over to yourself and try and heal yourself. But if you die as a ghost, then you will die. And the zombies will attack you while you're a ghost. Like, they can see you. So it's almost like it's more dangerous than just letting a teammate come and revive you some of the time. But yeah, so Tombstone lets you do that. Also, if you're one of the upgrades makes it so if you're playing in a team, if you have Tombstone and you die, you sort of drop all of your stuff so you can go back and get it, which is really, really useful. Another thing that's on the maps, other than a perk machine, is the Trials machine. Now, the Trials machine, there's one on each map. There's in D machine, it's kind of in a corridor when you first get to facility. It's right at the end of that corridor. And on Firebase said it's near the crashed helicopter. The Trials machine is something that you can go up to, and early game it takes 500 essence, later on it costs more, but you can activate a special challenge that will last for a little while. And the challenges are normally really easy. It's like hang around in a certain area, or kill zombies in a certain way, or don't take damage for a while, or take damage and then heal from it. And every time you do what it's saying, so you hang around an area for a few seconds, the actual bit that describes the challenge will glow red, and that shows you've made some progress towards it. Once it's glowing red enough times, you will end up sort of increasing the rarity of your reward. It'll say like reward upgraded. You can also get intel out of these as well sometimes. But so you'll get a reward, and then it's worth doing a few of those trials, 3 or 4 of those trials, you'll end up getting your reward all the way up to legendary. Then you can go back to, there's some machines next to the trials machine that will have the different player colors on them. One of them will be for you. That will give you a reward. So once you've got it up to legendary, go get it, and you could get something like a free perk or a pack-a-punch weapon or even a wonder weapon. You get some really good stuff from that, and normally you get a load of power-ups as well. So that's pretty useful and pretty good. It's quite a nice way of getting sort of quite a powerful weapon early on, because the trials really are very easy. They're very simple, and you need to do a bunch of them because it's the only way to get any of the some of the intel is only from the trials machine. Then there's finally the Exfil station. This is something that only activates on round 11 and then every 5 rounds after that. And basically it's like a radio, and it will give you a chance to exfil. This is again near the crashed helicopter in 5AZ, or it's in the spawn area on D machine. And basically if you activate it, it will tell you to go to an area, tell you to go to the exfil area, and then you'll have a timer to sort of get there, and then a number of zombies you have to kill, which basically all of the zombies left on the map will flood towards you. Normally loads of zombies will spawn all at once. It's a really good idea to take something, like a death machine or grenade launcher or a chopper gunner or something like that. Just grab something, some sort of score streak, and then you can mow down all zombies. If you kill them in the time limit, helicopter will come and pick you up, and then you'll get out and you'll get a few extra awards, a bit of extra XP and Aetherium Crystals. If you don't manage it, then the helicopter will get destroyed and it will just end the game. You'll die. So exfilling is a nice way of getting a little bit of extra XP and a few extra Aetherium Crystals. I don't think most people are too bothered about it, but it can be a fun way to end the game when you're ready to end it if you want to do it that way. Now, also, one other thing we haven't talked about so far are the other types of zombies. Now, I don't want to go into too much detail about these, partly because I think part of the fun of zombies is exploring for yourself and finding stuff and being surprised by things. So there are special types of zombie, the special types of enemy on the maps. All of them are a little bit more dangerous than normal zombies. All of them take a little bit more damage than normal zombies, but they're all quite a lot of fun to fight against. So it's worth having a look around. There's 2 different classes. There's special zombies who are a little bit weaker, and then there's boss zombies, which are really, really powerful, like much stronger ones, which you don't see many of them. But they're a lot of fun to fight against, and you'll start seeing them as you get to higher rounds. You'll start seeing them. All of them have like an audio cue when they spawn in, so look out for them. So that's kind of all of the information you need to know to understand zombies. Hopefully that part was helpful. Now what I'm going to talk about is just a couple of the strategies that are things that people ask about a lot, about how do you do it or what does it mean. And they're things that I think lots of people who play zombies kind of take them for granted because you learn how to do them very quickly. But these are things that I think are very, very useful, and you should probably know when you start, just to make your games a bit more fun, to make it so you're not dying in the first few rounds. So, first of all, before you go into each game, think about what you want to do in that game. Like, do you want to go for a high round? Do you want to try and do an Easter egg? Are you just trying to get to level 20 to exfil because your weapon XP, you actually get more weapon XP in the first few levels and then it trails off. So sometimes it's worth just doing like 15, 20 rounds and then exfilling and doing that again and again. Think about what you want to do, because then it lets you change how you play the beginning part of the game in order to sort of make everything else more efficient. So if you're going for high rounds, then you can just keep plowing through the rounds. It doesn't really matter. You want to get as much money as you can, but you can open stuff up whenever you want. If you're doing the Easter eggs, you probably want to keep the rounds as low as possible. So you want to try and work out everything you can possibly do on the lowest possible round, because as the game goes on, as the rounds get higher, the game gets harder. So you kind of want to, even in those very early rounds, see if you can do everything possible to get through stuff a little bit earlier. Now, one thing that you can do, which is particularly useful for Easter eggs, but it's also kind of useful just if you want to go around and upgrade stuff, is saving a zombie. Now, what this means is you kill all of the zombies in a round except for one. Now, I do this a lot. Say if I'm doing trials and I've got to hang around an area, I'll just kill all the zombies except for one, because one zombie isn't much of a threat. It can't trap you very easily. It's not going to damage you very quickly. It takes a long while. If you've got Juggernog, then one zombie's going to take a long while to down you. So you can keep one, and then you can just keep running around in circles, keep away from it really, really easily, and go do other stuff. When you're doing Easter eggs, often you'll get down to 1 or 2 zombies, and then one player will hold those if you're in a team, and the other person can go around and explore and look at stuff and try things out without having to worry about getting killed. Now, bear in mind, the zombies will despawn eventually. Like, after a few minutes, it will eventually just die. That does happen. You can't just play forever with one zombie being alive, but it lasts a very, very long time. So if, say, you're getting into quite high rounds, so it's getting a bit dangerous, and you need to go pack a punch gun, or you need to go get some perks, keep one zombie alive, just keep that, like, protect that one zombie, and then go do all your stuff while you've only got to worry about one. Or even better, if you've got a friend playing with you, get them to keep one zombie and they can just keep running around circles with it while you go do everything you need to without any sort of risk. Another thing that's super useful is training zombies. And this is something that I think, before I used to play zombies, when I just used to watch Noah and people like that, I always used to be really impressed that they'd be training like 40 zombies and it would look really cool. And it looks quite difficult. Turns out it's not that difficult at all. All the training is you, rather than shooting zombies and attacking zombies, because every time you shoot a zombie, you're taking a bit of time, a bit of attention just to focus on one zombie. That sort of sets you up for a bit of danger, that something could catch up to you, something could hit you from behind, you're not moving, you might get trapped or penned in. That's always dangerous. Instead of bothering attacking zombies at all, you just keep running past the zombies and running around in a loop around a large area. You can do it in quite a small area, actually. Like, it doesn't have to be a large area. You can do it anywhere where there's sort of enough space to turn a horde of zombies around. But the idea is you keep on running around in circles. Generally, you sort of try to just keep a little bit faster than the zombies. So rather than sprinting all the time, you sort of sprint a little bit past them and then wait for them to all catch up and clump together. And then you sprint away a little bit and keep running away. And eventually, all of the zombies will kind of form a long train of zombies that'll be following you, like a big horde. And they'll be in one manageable group. And that makes everything so much easier because, for one thing, if you're shooting at zombies and you're shooting at individual zombies, when you miss, those bullets are just wasted. If you train up a big horde of zombies, then turn around and shoot at them, every time you miss one zombie, your bullet's probably going to hit another one because there'll be loads of them. Plus, any area of effect damage things like grenades, explosives, dead wire and things like that, all of those, you'll hit lots of zombies at once, which will be really efficient, so you won't waste very much ammo at all. And it's very satisfying to just turn around and mow down a massive crowd of zombies all at once. It's also really useful just to kind of control them a little bit to make things more manageable. Because like I said, rather than stopping for every individual zombie, you're running around and you're constantly you've got a lot of space around you because you're always running ahead of them. And that means that you can kind of change which way you're going, change which route you're going, all of those sorts of things, and end up with quite a clear play space where the zombies are only in one area of that room and you've got all the rest of the room to move around however you want. That's a much safer way to play than doing anything else. Now, if you watch people who are really good at zombies, who are doing high round stuff, often you'll see them backed up into one particular room. So especially on D Machine, it's like in Medbay, there's this one little room where the tunnel comes up, or at the very top of D Machine, in the penthouse bit of Nakton Toten, there's if you don't open up some of the doors, some of the walls, you can sort of back up onto one end of the roof. If you hang out up like in a place like that where you're surrounded on three sides by walls, all the zombies have to come into one area. Now that sounds like a good idea because they're all kind of funneled in, so you can just mow them all down. But the problem comes from when you need to reload, or if you run out of ammo or anything like that. Suddenly you get yourself in quite a lot of trouble. So it's quite a dangerous strategy. The reason those people do it is because it's like the quickest way to kill lots of zombies, because they're all coming from one way. You just keep on looking at them, keep on killing. You're not wasting time moving. Normally they will have a good way of getting out of that situation. Like they'll have an escape route planned to be able to get out. I would say when you're starting out, don't try to do that. I think it's generally a bad idea. Training zombies is much, much safer. Now, normally when you start a game of zombies, you'll probably want to hang around in the starting area for like 6 rounds or so, 6 or 7, just killing zombies, meleeing as many as you can because you'll kill them in one hit anyway, and just getting as much essence as you can until you can go and turn the power on, get the Pack-a-Punch machine, and Pack-a-Punch your gun all in the first, sort of all in one go. That's a normal way of doing it, just because when you've got, if you're just in the spawn area, the zombies don't have very far to travel, so it's a sort of quicker way of getting set up early. And you get to practice and get your eye in of sort of aiming or running around, stuff like that is quite useful. Lots of people go to get Juggernog very early on. They get that because it makes everything so much safer. Some people even do, there's some side Easter eggs, like a coffin Easter egg, there's one on each map, which normally gives you Juggernog. I think it will always give you Juggernog. So that's something you can do if you want to look up how to do that. So look up the coffin Easter eggs, there's one on each map. that will get you a free one. Now, if you followed this guide, you should be ready to take on sort of anything that Black Ops Cold War Zombies has to offer. Like, I really think that you can get a lot more out of this game by exploring yourself and sort of like finding things for yourself. I think that's much better. You can like explore different strategies with your friends. That's much more fun than just trying to follow a walkthrough. So after you've read this guide, hopefully that's given you a sense of all the basics. And now you can go in and just sort of have a look around, see what you can do in the maps, try things out, like try experimenting with stuff. Don't be intimidated by it. Don't be intimidated by the mode, because you will be able to achieve everything you want to. If you do need guides, like if you think you need more help, you want to be able to do the Easter eggs, you don't want to have to spend ages working them out by yourself, I've got some guides on Easter eggs. Like I said, if you want to find the intel, go check out Greg FPS. If you want to work out what's the most efficient guns to use, go check out Smart Guy. In the sort of description below, there'll be links to them, because there are lots of people who have obviously made guides for things. But like I said, don't be afraid to go try things out for yourself. I think that's where a lot of the fun in zombies is. So if you've got any other questions about the mode, please don't forget to just, leave a comment below. I will reply to as many of them as I can, and I'm sure lots of other people will reply to them too, because people like knowing stuff about zombies. They like showing off that they know stuff about zombies. And don't forget to like and subscribe. There'll be loads more zombies content on here, as well as I do stuff for lots of different games. I'm playing a lot of Destiny at the moment as well. I'm looking forward to playing things like Halo and Battlefield and things like that this year. And if you want to see me streaming, I still stream zombies whenever there's a new map or anything come out. I'll be streaming it, but go check me out on Twitch. It's twitch.tv/Geeky Pastimes. So thank you very much for listening to this video all the way through. Very much appreciate it, and have a great day. Goodbye.